So, another episode of British Business with Matt Holland, and I'm here with my co-host Tom. How are you, Tom? You all right?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you this morning?
I'm good, mate, yeah.
Good.
It was interesting, actually, last night. I got home, got back, and then decided to put a bed together.
All right, okay.
Yeah, which turned out to be an absolute fiasco. I was up till like midnight.
I can imagine, yeah.
But yeah, just to kind of let people know what we're talking about today, we're going to be talking about good ideas are cheap, execution isn't. And it's all about kind of talk less, do more, and how important it is to actually execute on things.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about that today. It's quite easy, I think, to sit down and brainstorm a load of ideas.
Yeah.
But then the actual challenge is kind of going off and actually taking action.
Yeah, putting them into practice. Yeah, that's the hard part, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm going to chat about that as a topic today, which is, I think, quite an interesting one. It's kind of like a bit of a... Some of the episodes we've done, we've been very kind of like high level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whereas I think the next few episodes, because we're about to start getting guests on in probably around... I think 6 or 7 episodes time, we've started to get guests booked in.
Good.
So we've got a couple of people booked in for that. We've got a couple of in-person guests, which
Right, they're going to join us on the couch.
Yeah.
Nice.
Exactly, yeah. So I think whether or not me and you will join forces, so you'll come over to the blue side.
Yeah.
And then they can sit on the green couch.
Yeah, we can grill them.
And be grilled.
Yeah.
No pulling of punches. So yeah, last night I got back, had to have a chat with someone, and then, because obviously work is home, I'd been out at the accountants during the day, and then I was like, oh God. So we've got like a new bed frame ordered.
Yeah.
I was like, Amy's going to want me to do that.
Do I tackle this now or not?
So she goes out to the gym at 6 o'clock, gets back at 7. I then had to go back up to my office to finish some work, so I worked from then 7 till about 8:45.
Yeah.
And then at 9 o'clock, went back into the house and was like, right, should we put the bed together? I looked at the instructions and was like, this will be dead easy.
Yeah. 20-minute job.
No
Easy.
joke. Had the impact driver
No way.
out at like 11:30 last night. Going, like putting the slats in the bed.
Any complaints from neighbours?
Well, we're on a farm.
Yeah,
so
true.
But I was like, I'm going to wake the kids. Mum, just...
Oh, bless you.
Yeah, so I'm a bit tired. So I'm heavily caffeinated this morning.
That's what you got to
so
do.
I got up quite early. I'm just going to have a sip of my coffee, actually.
That's it.
It's interesting. Morgan, what percentage of people do you think don't watch the video and just are on audio only? Obviously, we chatted about it briefly, but short form content, obviously everyone sees the video and the audio. But I think in terms of actual podcast listening, do you think it's predominantly audio, or is it pivoting a bit more towards people watching on YouTube the full episodes?
I think more people, currently with newer podcasts, more people are actually watching on YouTube. But then as a podcast grows, I think it moves towards that audible listening, because people start on YouTube and then they realise they want to be listening in the car, and then it's inevitable that they're going to go onto Spotify.
I think it's good to have both options.
Yeah.
Like when I'm consuming content now, I think we touched on it on an episode that's just gone live, actually, because we're filming today on the 18th of June. So it was Monday's episode, the 16th of June's episode. And I think it was either a reel I'd seen, and we talked about like consuming content, and how like you've got to be efficient with your time.
Yeah.
It's so true. So like I do watch video YouTube. I do watch the video element of podcast because I stick it on the treadmill. So when I'm doing like a run on the treadmill, I'll stick it on there, and you can kind of got your headset on, and it's nice to actually see people while they're talking. But then if you're driving, you can't do that, obviously.
Yeah, true.
Because the police would get you.
Yeah, that's it. 6 points.
Again. No more points. Anyway, yeah. So we haven't filmed in a little bit. We've kind of both been off doing stuff. I've had, I think, 2 planned weeks off work, and then I've had an extra week off work.
Yeah.
My daughter's been poorly, bless her, which was a whole nightmare. But yeah, I'd say the break was all right overall. That was a bit of a
relaxing to a point, or to an extent.
And then 10 days of in and out of hospital and all the rest of it. She's fine now, but nightmare.
Yeah, bless you. And your
You've been away, haven't you?
Yeah, I went to Portugal, which was lovely.
Yeah.
Still
Tax haven.
Still got a bit of that's it.
What's the scoop on that?
Yeah. Just doing a bit of research whilst I was out there. No, it's beautiful. What a country, and obviously climate, and just went out with the family for my mother-in-law's birthday.
Oh,
So it was
nice.
all like the whole family went out. It's fantastic. Brilliant place. I mean, you can see we were in Quinta del Lago, which I think is it's a golfy, quite an affluent area as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell because some of the villas, like when you're going round, are the next level.
I've never been to Portugal. I'd like to go. Although with the caravan we've got, I think we're kind of getting into the mindset that we're probably going to do a bit of touring the next few years while the kids are young.
Yeah. See a few places.
They can just be feral, run around and hop on the bikes and go and they make mates, and then their friends go, and then some new people arrive, and it's quite good.
Yeah. I think that's the most enjoyable part of holidays, when you see your children making holiday friends and mixing with other children from different parts of the country. And you think, the memories. That's all it is, isn't it?
Yeah,
memories.
I think Arthur and Tilly had a whale of time, and then Tilly's had appendicitis, which has been the whole thing. It's been an absolute nightmare. But we get through it.
That's it. We keep going.
It was back in work because I was supposed to be back in work last Monday, and then we were discharged from the hospital on the Thursday and then I was straight into work on the Friday because I had to do get some certain stuff sorted for month end. God, just the fucking
stressful, mate.
To be honest with you, I'm removed a little bit from the day to day now. I'm kind of more at like a top strategic level, which has its pros and cons. But yeah, I think as an entrepreneur, business owner, when you're away from your business, I definitely get that anxiety of like, what's going on, what do I need to do? And it's not that I don't trust the people in the business. Like my brother and sister are amazing. Like they're so hardworking, so driven, so motivated. Like the business, I think for the most part, can run without me now. I'm there as like a problem solver, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think you still get that. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, what's going on with that thing? Oh, I need to know that. It's just that because you've been all over everything for so long.
It's hard to let go, isn't it?
It is hard to let go, which we are covering at some point, that kind of like micromanagement.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. That's in the pipeline, is it?
But anyway, so today's British Business Fact of the Week, we're touching on James Dyson again. Mm-hmm. And because I quite like James Dyson's story. British entrepreneur.
Yes.
Like uber successful guy, and actually, if you think about the brand globally, mm-hmm. it's a very powerful brand, Dyson, and also like there's people in that echelon. I would say like you've got Virgin,
yes,
so Richard Branson,
yeah.
I'm trying to think who else would be you'd classify as a truly global entrepreneur that's come from the UK. Mm. You've got Dyson, you've got Branson. I mean, the Gymshark guy, he's definitely...
Ben Francis.
Ben Francis is definitely in that category now.
Yeah, the scale of that business.
I'll tell you who else would possibly fit into it. The guys that own Sky, what they called?
Murdoch.
Yeah,
oh God, well, yeah, they're everywhere.
Serial global entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that's heavyweight stuff, innit, that?
But... so British Business Fact of the Week. So James Dyson built, and this blew my mind when I read it last night, 5,127 prototypes of his first bagless vacuum cleaner. I'm just going to repeat that.
Yeah.
Right. James Dyson built 5,127 prototypes of his first bagless vacuum cleaner before it finally worked.
Yeah, crazy.
So... talk about like grit.
Yeah.
And like
absolute resilience there.
It reminds me a little bit. I mean, what I'm about to say is slightly more impressive, but also in the other way, James Dyson is slightly more impressive because of the reps he's done there.
Yeah.
But like Elon Musk and his failures and attempts with the SpaceX rockets.
Yeah.
Trying to get them to land vertically. Mm-hmm. Like that is insane.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Now he didn't fail 5,000 times. No. But that I just so like he didn't just have an idea, he out executed everyone by refusing to stop iteration.
Yeah.
So just like tweak the design. And a couple of points, because I asked ChatGPT to expand this section a little bit, so just some more points which I thought was really so like proper like going for it. He mortgaged his house
Did he?
When he remortgaged his house when he did all that.
Right.
And built it himself. So he was hands-on building those prototypes at that point.
Yeah.
So he was like very much like in the design and innovation. Because I'm pretty sure they were a semi-established business at that stage.
Yeah.
Because it was the vacuum that really took them off. Mm-hmm. But they'd been around a little bit.
Yeah.
But that really like pushed them into the upper echelons.
Yeah, into next level.
So he was like hands-on with design at that stage still. So question: would you have survived 5,127 failures?
No, I'd have snapped it. I'd have gone, this is enough.
On to the next thing.
Yeah. That shows you the sort of character that guy is, though, doesn't it? Like resilient, which most business people are, but obviously a perfectionist, and he knew. After many iterations, he knew what he wanted to achieve, didn't he? He knew, I can get this thing to the bagless vacuum, as it was talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. So, believed in that idea, didn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
And look at him now, multi-billionaire.
Flying.
Flying.
Are we good, Morgan? Was there an issue there?
No issue at all.
All right, okay. So you just have to cut that little bit.
11 minutes.
Yeah. So yeah, what an impressive British entrepreneur, insane. But yeah, to fail 5,000. I mean, I think I would have given up at that stage.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have maybe got to like 200.
Yeah.
Maybe not even that.
Yeah.
I think I'm pathetic in comparison.
Well, how close did you come to giving up on that bed last night at 11:30?
Fucking hell, yeah. I mean, there was some, Yeah, me and Amy were just about talking by the end of it.
Yeah, oh God, yeah, it's awful, yeah. Didn't sleep very well then.
Yeah. So what else has chatted? So, do modern founders have the same stamina? That's an interesting one. So do you think... I think there's a bit of a myth that this generation... Well, I think it's partially true, but I think our generation and the generation that's coming through now, I think there is a higher percentage of people that don't have it.
Yeah.
But I do still believe that there is like the 0.01% that have the mentality of James, or have perhaps the trauma.
Yeah.
They've had whatever, however
they're able to cope with it somehow.
They're just able to do it, basically. So anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
So today we're going to kind of be a bit honest with ourselves and kind of talk about why good ideas fail. Mm-hmm. And like how to make sure a good idea doesn't, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the title of the episode is like, good ideas are cheap. So the idea that you can write down very easily a load of ideas. Like if I said to you, how do we solve this problem? Well, creatively, if you put entrepreneurs in a room, you'll have a big list. But sometimes I think business owners struggle with execution.
Yeah.
Because they get trapped in the cycle of dealing with the day-to-day BS, basically.
Yeah.
Or reverting back to their comfort zone,
Yeah.
which we've discussed in the past a little bit. So why do you think people love talking about it, but not actually starting and getting like and executing?
Yeah.
Why do you think that's a thing?
Well, ultimately, the doing's the hardest part, isn't it? Like, and as you were saying a minute ago, they're like coming up with the ideas. Most people know what they need to do to grow the business or fix an issue within internally and whatnot. But then the actual doing part's the hardest part because it requires, probably you being open and honest with, if you're trying to fix a problem in the business, it might involve some difficult conversations that people generally don't want to have because it involves confrontation.
Yeah.
Which can be off-putting. Some people just don't like doing it whatsoever.
Yeah, because you might face resistance from your team. Say if you've got an idea which is changing a system because you think it's worthwhile doing, you're kind of like, oh, well, the status quo works. Do we really need to change that? You kind of almost get caught in this trap of convincing yourself that it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
When deep down, if you like ask yourself the very clear question, is this going to be better? Well, yeah, I think it probably is.
Yeah.
But then you start creating this list of reasons why you can't implement it.
Yeah.
You can't change it because, what about this? What about that? It's going to
affect this. Yeah.
I think we're all guilty of that.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of going like, you've got an idea, right? Well, take action.
Yeah.
Let's just do it. And actually, one of the points, reading the notes that ChatGPT prompted me with a little bit yesterday, was kind of like, it should be like imperfect action.
Okay, yeah. I like
So it
that.
doesn't need to be perfect.
No.
It doesn't need to be like everything needs to be. You can fix it as it's. So you're almost like
Yeah.
turning the engine on the idea
Yeah.
and letting it fail.
Yeah.
And then you rebuild it.
Yeah.
Like what James Dyson's done there.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
5,000. Like you go right. I've got the idea of a bagless vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
Right. Here's prototype 1.
Yeah.
Oh, it's failed.
Yeah.
Right, go again. Whereas I think people spend a lot of time before they actually produce the first prototype or the first version of the idea.
Mm-hmm.
They spend loads of time in between the original idea, the basic of it, which is I want to achieve this.
Yeah.
Like, well, how do I achieve it? What resources do we need? How are we going to do it? Oh, well, there's a problem. It's like, oh, well, there's going to be these problems that stem off this new idea. Right, we need to deal with those problems before we actually launch it. No, you don't.
No,
Just
yeah.
fucking switch it on.
Yeah. Just get on with the idea.
Yeah. Turn it on and then fix the problems afterwards.
Yeah.
And that's like, I think that is the best way of doing it.
Yeah. I think they call it MVP, minimum viable product. Just get it to a point it's market ready, launch it, do
Right.
it, fix it afterwards.
See, I'd never heard of that.
So there you go. You've learned something new there. MVP.
When I was thinking most valued player.
Yeah, on that as well.
Whenever I do UX and UI app design, and whenever I'm doing that, we're always working for an MVP. But the challenge we've got is we aim for the MVP, and then we're always overshooting, and it's always like, but should we add this extra feature? And it's like, no, we've got to stick to the MVP, because it means we can get it out quick, and we can start seeing what works, what doesn't. But it's so easy to get into that kind of headspace of let's do everything, and you can't be everything right at the start, and you can't be everything and do it well.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's very true. I'm building a website at the moment for Disley Village.
All right. Okay. Yeah. For the local community.
Yeah, for the local
well
community.
done.
Yeah, I'm just doing it myself in my own time.
Yeah.
But they kind of want a lot of features.
Right,
And
okay.
I'm saying to them, we just need to get it to like the base level.
Yes.
And then we can then tweak and add stuff.
Yeah.
Right? But whereas they want it almost finished.
Yeah, all singing, all
they
dancing.
want all the features enriched in it. Do you know what I mean? They want
Yeah.
it they want all this functionality on day one. I'm like, no, actually, it's a process between day 1 and day 100.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just such an interesting concept, that kind of thing of like, you just need to take action. So, just reading these, what does good execution mean day to day in your business? Well, it means, I think, having a go.
Yeah.
Because I think it's almost a little bit like this kind of like action fatigue. You've got an idea, and then just because you've had an idea and it's not worked at some point doesn't mean it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
So you've got this fatigue of taking action on things because you go, well, I've tried to implement things in the past and it didn't work for this reason, so I'm not going to implement anything again.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
You're scared of like damaging the ecosystem, like what we were saying before.
And the creativity.
Yeah, and would you classify yourself as a bit of a perfectionist?
Yeah, which I think is part of the problem, because I always want something finished to a certain standard, and if it falls short of my expectations, I'm like, I get frustrated with it. But then that's probably a flaw, because really, if it's 70% or 80% of the way to where I'd like it, at least it still works, and at least it probably adds value, like some function within our business or anyone else's business,
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just about taking action, but then the problem is because it's your business, you want it to be really good.
Yeah.
And I think it becomes more difficult when you're a more established business almost.
Yes.
Because you've got more, we've discussed reputation in the past.
Yeah.
So if you change something and go away from what you've been doing for a particular, and you change the way you're operating or whatever it might be, that reputational risk is massive.
Yeah.
So you kind of become more reluctant to change.
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, I don't want to risk what I've already got.
No.
So it's quite difficult. The other thing is like, how do you evaluate and find good, like spot the best ideas?
Yeah, well, where to start? So if you've got a whole list of 10 ideas that you think can have an impact on your business, it's not just pick number one because it was your first idea. It's you've got to prioritise, haven't you? You've got to go through that list.
Yeah.
What's going to have the biggest impact? And what some people will do, I'm guilty of it personally, is, oh, that's quite easy to do, that one. I'll just do that first.
Yeah.
But that might have the minimal impact on the business. But yet I've chosen to start there. Why? Because it was easy.
Yeah. Yeah, like the easy fix rather than the best fix.
Yeah, there's a book, I mean, I've read it, I probably need to bloody reread it, called Eat That Frog. I can't remember who the author is. Have you heard of it?
I think I have, yeah.
Yeah,
Someone mentioned that.
It's a bit on time management as well, but it is literally they call it either eat the ugliest frog first thing, biggest, hardest task. Do that first, everything else is easy.
Well, it's just like on your day-to-day when you've got a bit of a to-do list in front of you. We're all guilty of just ticking off the easy ones.
Yeah.
Right, first task you always do is, I'm going to clear my email
Check
inbox.
my emails, nightmare.
We're all guilty of it, but what you actually need to do is go, right, well, I need to do that thing that's been on the list for 3 days.
Yeah.
But I've never got to it because I'm always doing the easy stuff.
I need to sack this person. I'll do that later.
Yeah, it is hard. It is hard. Well, we're humans at the end of the day, and I think that's the other thing you've got to be. I think there's some entrepreneurial people out there that don't portray the actual reality of business, which is that it's not easy.
No, it's horrible at times.
Like sometimes it's like, oh, they've almost like created this illusion within their own mind that I can be tough, I can do it, anything's possible to do. And I'm a little bit like that, and I have to like tough talk myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But actually, the implementation of ideas and like prioritizing your time on the things that actually matter.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing.
Difficult.
It's discipline.
Yeah.
It's not motivate, it's discipline. That's what it comes down to, I think.
Yeah. Showing up every day.
Yeah. How do you stop new shiny ideas from hijacking what's working? So sometimes you might, it's like kind of goes back to that phrase of like, if it isn't broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Which I really disagree with, because I think innovation is such a key part of business.
Yeah.
Because if it ain't broken, don't fix it. Well, someone else is going to come along, a competitor of yours. They don't have something that's working yet. Mm-hmm. They're going to come in and they're going to create a new system or new process, which is just going to be better because it's happening further along in time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's very kind of easy to kind of look over into next door's garden and say, "Why have they done that? They should have done it this way."
Yeah.
Like, it's very easy to like be opinionated on other people's businesses.
Yeah.
But actually, I mean, in a way, you have to take your own advice in that scenario.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a bit like if you're slinging mud over it, it's like, well, okay, right. Well, what about taking a step out of my own garden and looking in that garden and going, well, why have I not sorted the hedge out?
I've not touched it for ages. Why have I not done anything to it yet?
There's moss growing everywhere, right? Well, I need to get the scarifier out and sort that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that analogy applies to your business, and I think the kind of implementation of ideas and prototypes and attacking process and all the rest of it just comes back to house cleaning, really. Like the awareness to go, right, well, I'm not gonna walk past that problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just taking action, I think.
Taking action, yeah. Having the time to do it as well, because a lot of people get bogged down with just general
day to day.
Yeah, day to day.
But I think that's a comfort blanket for most business owners.
Yeah.
I think the comfort blanket is, well, I need to do that because I know how to do it, I'm faster,
Yeah.
When actually, in reality, you could hire someone. It goes back to that thing about calculating what your actually hourly wage is.
Yeah.
And going, right, well, I cost the business £20 an hour roughly because of my remuneration. Well, why am I not training someone at £13 an hour to do this job?
Yeah. That's a good point. So
then you can then take action on your ideas.
Yeah, buy back your time to work on something in the bigger picture that's going to add more value in the long run.
Exactly. So I think that's quite a good short overview of how I feel about that topic. I mean, we've introduced a final closing feature, and if you've made it this far into the episode, it's a new feature. So I was looking at like the viewing time. Obviously, it peaks the first 10-15 minutes. People are really engaged and they tend to drop off. But there is a hardcore listener that makes it this far. But we've got a new feature, which is the ChatGPT question we didn't want to answer.
Oh, Jesus, right. Go on.
So, what's the idea you keep telling yourself you'll execute one day, but deep down you know you probably never will, and why not?
I'll let you take that one first.
So I'll say it again. What's the idea you keep telling yourself you'll execute one day, but deep down you know you probably never will, and why not? I think for me, it's probably doing something that I would really like to have glamping pods on our farm.
Yeah, okay.
I'd really like to do it. But I'm not doing it because of the fear of rejection from the council.
Yeah.
So I suppose, I mean, maybe that's a bit of a cop-out to the answer, but I think sometimes you have to be realistic with things. So you might have an idea, and just because someone's saying, yeah, you need to take action, but you've got to also consider that. So it's kind of counteracts what we've been discussing in the episode, is that sometimes I think like you have to weigh up the pros and cons, and it might not be quite worth executing it. If the reputational risk outweighs the potential gain.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, if we put in planning permission for, say, 5 or 6 glamping pods or something like that, we could destabilise our relationship with the community and what have you. And then it's
that
like,
comes at a risk, yeah.
And it's like, well, actually, maybe that idea, even though it's a great idea and I'd love to do it, it's maybe not the right moment.
Yeah.
So it's a shame, really. And it goes back to like the whole, I mean, Rachel's sat here, obviously. But
joining in.
Like you've got HMRC, but then you've got local councils and stuff, which create a lot of barriers, I think, for small businesses and entrepreneurship. Because really, a few glamping pods in a field, you can still have sheep grazing. It doesn't make any difference.
No.
But I know we've got to protect the green belt. So, do you have anything? Is it? Don't worry if you don't, because that's quite a deep question, I think.
No, I mean, I suppose one thing for me is, within our business, obviously myself and my brother, is wanting to be more removed from the business. Not for a reason that, I just want to get away from it. Not that. I want it to be able to be self-sufficient without, like, a lot of my input in terms of the creativity, the ideas, we need to do this, we need to do that. But I know off the back of that, I probably am guilty of micromanaging, and I want to be involved in a lot of things, and I want oversight of this and the other.
I'm guilty of that as well.
And it comes with hiring a lot more people, probably, to be honest. Middle layer management.
But the question, the challenge I would say with that is that you creating the list of negatives as to why
probably,
you can't.
straight away.
It's so hard, isn't it? Like, so we're all guilty
It's the default.
of it.
The default.
Yeah, it's like I've got... we're actually doing an episode on micromanaging, so we'll save it for that.
Oh, God.
So there's a little sneak peek.
Yeah.
So... Sorry to cut you off.
No, it's fine. No.
I think you bang on. I think actually something you keep telling yourself you'll execute, like that moving yourself away from the day to day. That is such a hard thing to do. Like I'm guilty of that as well. 100%.
It's the way you do it. Yeah.
So key takeaways for listeners: execution beats inspiration every time.
Yeah, like that.
Talk less, do more. No more perfect ideas, just imperfect action.
Yeah, I like it.
Which yeah.
And don't forget MVP, minimum viable product.
Minimal viable products.
Yeah.
So like the bare minimum to get it to market, for it to work.
And then do an iteration on that, as Dyson has done.
Yeah, amazing.
And read that book, Eat That Frog.
So thanks for listening today, guys. If you aren't subscribed on YouTube, please subscribe. And then we've actually just launched on Apple Podcasts as well now.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I don't know why I hadn't sorted that out, but we're on there now.
Yeah.
So if you could follow us on there, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, or if you're on Spotify, please make sure you leave a rating on the thing. It really helps the algorithm. And next week, we're discussing haters, trolls, and tough feedback, surviving criticism. And I think we'll pivot that on personal and business, which will be quite interesting.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see you next week. Cheerio.
Thank you.